Here we have Cody. Cody himself coming in. Here he is, the youngest player at Top 8 Gaming, the winner of the most recent game day. Do you mind putting on that headset right there? Cool. And did you bring Red Green with you?
Yes, I have it on me here.
Okay,
If you want
so
to take that out.
sure.
It's a bit different than the game day list I had, but I'm still testing out a couple cards in there.
All right, sorry, we lost a couple things with the computer restarting earlier. Not even sure how to get the deck check screen up, so we'll go without that for now.
Alright.
Let's just talk about the deck then.
Sure.
Let's separate out the creatures and the spells.
Here, do you want me to grab it?
Sure.
Get to that.
There we go.
Alright.
This is going... Cultivator of Blades. That is interesting.
That's the card I'm testing out right now. I don't think I like it too much, but
Okay.
gotta get some work on. Check it out.
So, even though the viewers can't quite see the cards we're parsing out now, something interesting to note is that Cody's deck prior to today is the deck that he just beat in the finals. So despite taking it here today with red-white humans, his deck is red-green energy. And so let's just start off with the creature base here. I see here Servant of the Conduits,
Yep.
probably the most basic of the creatures, just a mana dork, 2-mana, 2/2.
Yeah, it was being able to like turn 3 your Bristling Hydra just put like such a nice threat on the board.
Yeah.
It's one of the good plays. I like
Fair
it.
enough. Then we see that followed up with 4 Long Tusk Cubs and 4 Voltaic Brawlers. That is 12 2-drops in the deck. What's the reason behind so many 2-drops specifically?
A lot of the time it goes to like turn 4, for example, and instead of dropping just like a simple 4-drop, dropping 2 different threats on the board with all the pump spells in the deck, it could just be so much more threatening than just having like one thing that you could just chump block half the time.
Okay. And how often do you find that you're winning with Long Tusk Cubs and Voltaic Brawlers?
The Long Tusk Cub actually comes down to it late game like quite a bit. The Voltaic Brawler is more of like an early game kind of aggro threat.
Yeah.
So the Long Tusk Cub definitely puts in work in the...
All right. And we do see that your deck is mostly green. Do you ever have issues casting the Voltaic Brawler? Do you find you have to use your Aether Hubs and use up an energy that would otherwise go into one of your creatures?
Yeah, sometimes on the mulligans to 6er, for example, all I have is like a Force and an Aether Hub, and I have to use that towards the Voltaic Brawler, which leaves me without red in the future turns of the game. So yeah, sometimes I just gotta get the threat out there though.
Okay. Moving on to the 3-drops we see here for Electrostatic Pummelers. We've seen that card do really good work. It's the reason we compare this deck to the Infect decks in Modern. And then 2 Lathnu Helions. Yeah. So that's about half the 3-drops compared to 2-drops. And obviously we've seen the Electrostatic Pummeler at work. Just takes out life totals so quickly.
Yeah.
What's the reason behind 2 Lathnu Helions, though?
I had it as a 1-of before, but I think just being able to drop a 4/4 haste for 3, like against the control matchup, they tap down a lot of the time and just swing with like an Avacyn or a Torrential Gearhulk, and then you could just get a haste, like a creature with haste in the board and get in.
Okay.
It's really good. Sometimes you have to, people say it's bad because you have to pay the 2 energy, which like drains your energy a lot, but sometimes you just have to know when to get rid of it and when to keep it.
All right, fair enough. So a lot of practice goes into using the Hellions then. Moving on to the 4-drops, we've got 3 Bristling Hydras. We've seen this card do a lot of work many times, despite the fact that it costs 3 energy rather than 2 to put a counter on it, unlike the Long Tusk Cub.
Yep.
It has the added text of giving it hexproof. Do you find that 3 is a good number for them?
Yeah, 3 is good because like being able to put a counter on it and give it like its own self-defense for the hexproof is incredible, and when it enters you get 3 right away. So it's a 4/3 that saves itself for a turn. It still keeps the threat out.
Okay. And here we see one Cultivator of Blades. Gonna put that up on the screen for those of you who play good cards. You might not know what it is. So Cultivator of Blades, a 1/1 for 5 mana. If that wasn't bad enough, it's got Fabricate 2. A mechanic that we don't really see people playing constructed. It's very good and limited. A lot of cards with Fabricate that you see play in drafts and sealeds, but when it comes to constructed, well, it must shock a lot of people when you play this.
Yeah, it's just like the test card in there right now. It was the Green Gearhulk. I can't remember the name of it right now.
Okay.
That was the slot I just testing it in right now. Everybody thinks it's okay as a 1-of, but it's not doing too great.
All right, and actually, let's go over the rest of the text on this card. Whenever it attacks, you may have other attacking creatures get +X until end of turn, where X is the Cultivator Blade's power. Obviously, very good if you cast a larger than life on it, turn into a 5/5, and then attack with it, pump up all your other creatures. With that in mind, do you usually just keep it as a 1/1 and make the 2/1/1 tokens?
Like if I'm on the offensive position in the game, I'd like to make it a 3/3 because then I could pump the entire squad and come in.
Okay.
But some games I just need to get out the chump blockers to block maybe like another Long Tusk Cub that could be bigger. I'm in the mirror match.
Okay.
Or other big threats. So it depends on the situation, really, what I decide to go with.
That seems interesting. But it's always your first target for pump spells whenever you do attack, right? Is there any reason you hold back a pump spell when you have a Cultivator Blades out? Cultivator Blades? Maybe
a Blossoming Defense just for the protection on like on my opponent's turn whenever they have a removal spell. To hold that back. But
Okay.
if the pump spell would give me lethal, then I'm gonna play the pump spell and go in. But
all right, then let's move on to the proper spells. We've got, let's see, 3 Attune with Aethers. I believe it's just the 3.
Yep.
So this is the only one that's not a pump or removal spell. Just 1 mana, search library for basic, get 2 energy counters.
Yep.
The only 1-drop in the deck, as far as I can tell, besides Blossoming Defense, which you're not really looking to play on turn 1. Right. The only turn 1 card, I should say.
Yep.
Do you find that the 2 energy is relevant?
I definitely think so because sometimes it could, like, it happens a lot where it's turn 1 Attune with Aether and then you play the turn 2 Long Tusk Cub.
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to put it up to 3 gets past like Inventor's Apprentice, which is in the red-white decks. Just the other 2 power and toughness creatures.
Okay, fair enough. Next, we move on to let's move on to the Harness Lightnings. You're just playing 2 of them. Obviously, it's good to have a removal spell in any constructed deck. But why just 2 Harness Lightnings?
I had originally in the game day, the first one I played in, I had it as only 4 in the sideboard. I didn't have any in the main because a lot of the time I just wanted to be playing spells that could actually advance me in the game and not I guess you could say slow me down, as that was my thought of it. But then I realized that I just get like stomped by the red-white decks, so I just have to put it in there.
Okay, and you find it's mostly there for things like Smuggler's Copter, or are you?
Yeah, Copter, and there's a lot of other, like I played the mirror match quite a bit, so Long Tusk Cub, even a Pummeler.
And I'm sure with your deck, you must have a lot of energy kicking around at some points.
Yeah.
There's times where you just cast Harness Lightning and take out a Torrential Gearhulk or anything that's large.
Yeah.
Does that ever take people by surprise? That they play something big, and then you cast the Harness Lightning, and they're surprised that, oh yeah, you have all that energy in reserve.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's just like a 2 mana does 3 damage, but really in an energy deck where you have so much energy production,
Yeah.
you just have access to be able to like kill something huge.
All right, then. So let's move on to the pump spells. We've got a lot of these. Let's see, 10, 13 pump spells. So let's start off with Blossoming Defense.
Yeah.
Being the first one alphabetically. So target creature you control gets +2/+2 and hexproof until end of turn for just a green. The giant growth of Kaladesh, but with surprising upside. Even Infect decks in Modern are playing this card now.
Yeah.
Just a solid card all around. Do you find it's just in there for the protection, or is it relevant as a pump spell as well?
Yeah, I play it as a pump spell quite often actually. With the Pummeler, if I have a way to give it a trample, I just pump that up and then just pay however much energy I want.
Okay.
Just makes it even bigger than before.
Fair enough. Then we've got Built to Smash. Another 1 mana pump spell gives an attacking creature +3/+3 until end of turn. If it's an artifact, it also gains trample. Has the fact that now you're only playing 2 of these, is this because you can only use it on the offense?
Yeah, it's only an offensive card. That's why I cut down from 3. Also, everybody says it's 3/3 and trample, but really that's only on the Pummeler and nothing else in the deck.
Yeah.
Which is really relevant.
Well, if you make the Cultivator Blades make a couple servos, it could give the servos trample.
Yeah, I can make some 4/4.
Have you ever done that?
I have not done that actually.
Oh, okay.
No.
Probably just better to give the Cultivator itself the +3/+3.
Yeah, makes more sense.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Are there any times where you side out the Built to Smashes?
I haven't sided them out yet. There's a couple of matchups where I thought I was going to and I was considering it, but just keeping them in there I thought was the best idea.
Okay, fair enough. Then we move on to the Superstar pump spell, Larger Than Life, +4/+4, and trample for 2 mana at sorcery speed. We've seen this card in action so many times. Does so much work. It even makes Servant of the Conduit into a main attacker.
Yeah.
Just all-star card in the deck.
Yep.
I think we've glossed over that card enough. Next, Uncaged Fury. That's actually the last card here in the 60. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn. It's your most expensive pump spell. It costs a whole 3 mana. A bit outrageous there.
Yeah, the double strike, it's really good because some creatures sometimes they just have like the Bristling Hydra and giving it double strike to be able to kill for example, a creature with 5 toughness. Because it gets the first strike as long with regular combat damage.
Yeah.
And then again, it also, if you're using it on a Pummeler, it pretty much has like a built-in 3 energy, I guess you could say. Because it doubles it again.
Right.
So it comes in handy quite a bit.
Fair enough. All right, and then let's move on to the mana base. Looks like you're running many forests, and quite a few basic mountains, actually.
Yeah, I have 3 mountains and 9 forests.
3 mountains, 9 forests, then a playset of Aether Hubs, playset of Game Trails?
Yep.
Okay. Do you find that you have any problems generally with your mana? I know you said earlier that sometimes you get stuck without your red, or stuck not being able to make too much red.
Yeah, occasionally it does that, but eventually I just get the Attune with Aether and I search for the mountain, and the Game Trails and Aether Hubs generate that, and as well as the Servant of Conduit.
Okay, so the Attune with Aether does help you fix, besides just giving you a couple starting energy.
Yep,
okay,
sure.
That makes sense then. Finally, let's move on to your sideboard then.
Sure.
We see here a 4th Bristling Hydra. I'm guessing that's for the control matches.
Yep.
Do you side it in against the decks that also play board wipes, or just the types of decks that play a lot of spot removal?
Yeah, it's mostly just for the decks with the spot removal, like the control matchups, and I know the red-white decks have a lot of spot removal with the Deck and Stone and Harness Lightning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the matchup I bring it in.
Okay, fair enough. And we've seen quite a few of the control versus energy decks seen play, and we see that the control decks often they'll have a removal spell and they'll have a counter spell in their hand, and the energy deck will play a threat like the Pummeler or the Lathnu Hellion, and the control deck will use a counter spell to counter it right there, because they don't want their removal spell to be countered by a Blossoming Defense or something like that. But then the next turn, the energy player plays the Bristling Hydra, and we see that, oh, the only way they have to deal with the Hydra would be the counterspell. And so that's a very key decision point. Do you tend to play your Hydras differently against more or less experienced players? Like players who might not think about holding a counterspell specifically for the Hydra, do you make sure to run out other creatures before you would cast it, even if you're in a position where you could cast the Hydra?
Yeah, a lot of the time I play some other threats like a Voltaic Brawler before it to try to draw out the counterspell. And if they still don't, even if they have like lands untapped and stuff, I'm still gonna play it. If they play the counterspell, then great. That's one less counterspell they have. And if not, then that's a Bristling Hydra I have on my battlefield. So.
Right. But do you specifically hang on to it for longer against different types of players? Do you gauge your players to before you cast your creatures is basically the question.
No, I don't hold on to it against specific players. I just try to play it as if they know what could come from it.
Okay.
As if they're experienced or so, I guess you'd say.
Fair enough. Just always assuming that your player knows the correct lines to play. That way you don't make any mistakes.
Exactly.
Fair enough then. Next we've got 2 Oath of Nisas. I think I talked a bit about this during game day when you were on stream. You had them kicking around from your mono green modern deck. And I believe you just bring it in the control matchups or controlling matchups.
Yeah, in the matchups where you want more of a selected draw than card advantage.
Is this in your sideboard?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Sorry,
just an unsleeved card in the middle of here. All right, so Oath of Nisa, just smooths out your draws. I don't think you have Arlen Court in the deck anymore, so not relevant there, but certainly it's just a green Anticipate in your deck.
Yeah, the Arlen Court is supposed to be in the list. Again, it's just I'm testing out a couple things, so as of right now, it has been removed yet.
Okay, next we see Fabrication Module. For those of you unfamiliar with precisely which of the module cycle does which, this is the one where whenever you gain energy counter, you get to put a counter on a creature you control, and you can pay 4 mana, tap it to gain an energy counter. Tell me about this card.
I put it in there for the more similar matchups like the other aggro decks or even the mirror match. Having us both have, for example, a Bristling Hydra, but just being able to get mine 1 or 2 counters bigger is really key when making blocks and attacks.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've never actually used it for the energy, just for the counters.
Right. Your deck has enough ways of making energy that,
exactly.
And usually you're not stuck in a position where you've got just 4 mana kicking around.
Exactly.
Okay. Next we've got Commencement of Festivities. We were laughing about how in Jesse Livingston's deck there was the anti-human fog, or the fog that just prevents all damage from non-human sources.
Yep.
Here we have another type of very circumstantial fog effect. It stops all damage that would be dealt to players specifically.
Yep.
If I can...
Yeah, again, that's just another card I put in there for weird situations in the mirror match. People just overcommit to the Pummeler, and they go all out, and I just say, yeah, I got nothing, and then they cast all their spells, and then I'll just fog it.
Okay, so it's mostly for the mirror match then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I brought it in against anything else, actually, so.
All right, fair enough. Next, we see, I guess, an experimental card in Narnum Cobra.
Yes.
For those of you who like your Kaladesh Limited, you will recognize this as the green activatable artifact creature. This was the snake that, for 2 mana, it's 2/1. You pay a green against Death Touch.
Yep.
Tell me about this card.
That's also for the bigger matchups, like the Aetherworks Marvel decks. They bring in a big threat, like a, I can't even think right now, like an Emrakul.
Yep.
And just to have like some small card that can just get rid of such a big threat is good.
Okay. You do know that Emrakul has flying, right?
Yeah, like being able to like poke in, I mean, for like on the offense, not blocking.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fair enough. That makes sense. Next, we've got Harness Lightning, 2 more copies, rounds out your play set.
Yep, that's just for sheer removal against the other aggro decks or mid-range kind of thing.
Okay. Do you find you bring different amounts of Harness Lightnings in on the play versus on the draw?
No, I haven't done that based on player draw yet.
Okay.
Just
fair enough.
bring them in, yep.
All right. Next we have Plummet, destroy a creature with flying. Instant, so not a card to be brought in against Emrakul, but probably a card against Smuggler's Copters.
Yeah, that's what it's in there for, is the copper decks.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that was pretty simple. Next we have Nature's Way, 2 copies. Target creature you control gains Vigilance and Trample. It deals damage equal to its power to a creature you don't control. You've got big creatures. Yep. Your opponents, in theory, will have smaller creatures. You just get to give your creatures some sweet abilities and have some extra removal.
Yeah, it's cool because it's you have the built-in removal aspect, but then you can also a lot of the time I find like Pummeler just gets chump blocked because they don't have a way to give it trample, but that's just like a removal spell that also gives it trample, and it works out well.
So what kind of matchups do you bring this again? It's just more of the aggressive decks?
Yeah, more of the aggressive decks where we have like
that are trying to go wide.
Games and wide board states, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, we've got Deadlock Trap, a card that I've never been all that sure of as far as the energy decks go. I always find you to be the very aggressive creature. Tell me about some decks where you bring this in against and where it's really good.
There's a Super Friend deck here. Nickel is playing it, actually.
Right. And
that's shuts down a Planeswalker on the upkeep. I just tap that down, like a Gideon, for example, so I won't be able to swing.
Okay.
As well as the control matchup, just tapping down a Gearhulk, because that's another card that's alright being slower, but it's consistently tapping down a big threat like that.
Okay. So my question here, as far as the Deadlock Trap goes, it can't stop a Planeswalker the turn it comes in, just because they're going to hold priority and activate it right away. Yep. So at that point, why is Deadlock Trap better than a creature that can just swing in and attack that Planeswalker?
Oh, like the decks like that, a lot of the Planeswalkers in the deck, they just make like plant tokens or the Knight allies like Gideon does. They just are able to chump block the creatures, and this just allows it to not be able to be activated.
Okay, fair enough. It's just a guaranteed way to make sure the Planeswalker doesn't get activated.
And also, like, spot removal, for example, just gets rid of my attackers that are able to kill the Planeswalkers.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Cody, thank you so much for coming down here. I'm glad we were able to get you down here for a deck tech. So, congratulations on your win tonight.
Thank you.
And we'll see more of you on stream as the weeks go on. So.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Actually, I think we've got somebody in chat who wanted to say some stuff to you. You are the best Magic player ever. Uncaged Fury is bad. OMG. What are you doing, Code? Come on, C-Town. And you are doing the wrong deck. Didn't he win on Red White Humans? Yes, he did. He did win with Red White Humans, but we never got around to doing a deck tech for when he won the game day. And we've already done a deck tech for Red White Humans. If you want to check it out, I think 2 Saturdays ago was game day. The very last stream from that day is me with Jesse Livingston going over the exact deck that Cody won with tonight. So if you want to see that exact 75, you'll be able to check it out there. So thanks again for coming out here, Cody. Thanks for tuning in, viewers. We'll see you on Friday.